So I'm so happy, so thrilled to, introduce our next guest. I'm girling right now. I'm so happy to welcome this beautiful, charismatic, you do everything. Like, you're a networking queen, you're a freaking millionaire. You can do Black Girl Magic. She has an amazing podcast called Money and Mimosas, and she's just such an inspiration to me. I first knew about her from a mailing list. I signed up with her through Marie Forleo's B School. This was like definitely several years ago. I saw her amazing success story on Andrew Argue's Next Level Firms program. She is in the finance space. She's like the best person to talk to. She's also basically Bay Area royalty, guys. Okay, so welcome the amazing Danetha Joe. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, what an intro. Thank you, love. That is so amazing.
You're the one who did it all, though, so it's just like, it's just like you featured on the San Francisco newspapers. Just like, I just love it. So what's it like being a millionaire?
I love this first question. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to connect with you and your community and to the
It's my
opportunity to share my message. What is it like to be a millionaire? It's interesting. I feel like being a millionaire, there was a quote once, I believe it was Jim Rohn, who is credited with being like the godfather of the coaching business and sales. He said that the path to, and I'm totally going to butcher this quote, but he said that the path to being a millionaire is more about the person you become rather than the money that you make. And I feel like being a millionaire is really just, it's less about the external rewards and more about the inner work that I've done to get to this place. I felt like a millionaire, honestly, but when I was broke. And I really feel like that was an important place to start, was to really be this person before I was able to step into those shoes.
I love that. So can you explain to us like how you felt like maybe before you wanted to be a millionaire versus how you are? What are some of the, I guess, thoughts that you think versus when you were not just how to become a millionaire, or maybe you just decided to become a millionaire from when you were young? What was that like?
For sure. Well, I've known since I was really young that I always wanted to make a lot of money. I
Mm,
wrote
I
my
bet.
first poem about money when I was 6 years old. It was my first
Yeah,
poem.
I love that.
Yeah, and it was about money. And I've always seen money as magic. It's
Mm,
just been something that has really intrigued me from a young age. I used to like collect. I think every child has a penny jar or
yeah,
a
yeah.
piggy bank, and I would just be so fascinated with coins and dollar bills. And I just felt like I had this sense that money was this tool to create the life that I always wanted to live, whatever that looked like. And it would make all of my dreams come true. And so I would say I've always wanted to be rich, and I've always made money a priority in terms of better understanding how to make it work for me, how does it work in society, how to make it flow for myself. I would say, though, throughout this journey of becoming wealthy, it's the shifts that I've made have been a lot of internal shifts. Although I've always had an affinity towards money, money's also been my biggest teacher in really helping me do some deep introspection work and truly get to understand myself better and learn who Danetha is. And so the shifts that I've made are thinking more abundantly. As a society, I feel it's a sickness of a
Mm,
scarcity mindset. And I really have had to learn how to shed that. And to this day, I mean, every day I'm learning about different ways where I hold that scarcity and limited mindset. So that's been a huge shift. And also, I would say there's a shift around truly believing that I'm a
mm,
creator that is here on this planet Earth. I believe we're all creators,
mhm,
and we have the ability to truly build whatever we want in this
mhm,
life. And so that's something that I'm constantly learning, constantly refining and learning more about, because I come up against my own limiting beliefs around, we were just talking about being an artist. That's
mhm.
something that I've started to wear in terms of that identity. And that took a lot of inner courage to be able to tell myself, yes, you can be an artist, Danetha, you can be a poet, you can be a writer. And so I would say those two shifts have been the biggest ones for me.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So because I'm a Chinese female and I'm doing, stand-up comedy, every time I go into open mic, I know pretty much like nobody's gonna look like me. So I'm still kind of dealing with that a little bit. Yeah, as a Black female millionaire, do you ever feel like you feel like different, or you feel like it doesn't really matter? Do you feel like it's advantage or like a disadvantage in terms of like your gender and like your race, or doesn't enter the picture?
Well, first of all, I just want to give you mad props for being a comedian, because that I don't think I've ever shared this, but comedians are where I get most of my inspiration from.
Really? What?
Yes, yes. I do not have that gift. And so there's somewhat of like a jealousy, like, oh, I wish I was funny. And I really, really respect the art of comedy, the ability to story tell on stage, connect with an audience, and deliver a gift, which is a laugh. And to be able to do that in a way that's informative and entertaining at the same time. I study comedians. I'm a fan first and foremost, but me and my fiance go to stand-up shows fairly regularly. And then I also take some time to just study the art, because I find it so fascinating.
Who's your favorite?
Besides besides you, oh my gosh. Goodness. Other people that I like, I really enjoy Monique. I enjoy.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing. I really love Bill Burr. He's a favorite of mine and Nick. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on, but those two are certainly two of my faves.
I love that.
Yes. Yeah, to answer your question around race and gender, it's all the above to what you said. Sometimes I see it as an advantage. I do believe that as a woman, and then specifically a Black woman, I have a perspective that is not common in the financial space. And so I believe that helps me stand out, which we both know as entrepreneurs, standing out can be to your advantage. And so that's definitely a pro, a plus. And then there's also certainly times when I feel like I'm marginalized because of my identity. I've certainly had instances where I felt that I was underpaid because I was a woman, specifically a Black woman. And I've had instances where I certainly felt where I was not taken seriously because of my race, gender, and that all rolls up into my perspective in life. So I felt that my perspective on life, particularly around the financial space, hasn't been as respected as maybe others. As artists, I feel that, and I identify as an artist, an entrepreneur, a creative, and so my perspective on money is a little bit different than what the industry has seen. And I think my identity as a Black woman certainly informs that perspective as well. And that's something that is sometimes applauded, sometimes it's shunned. And so I've definitely experienced both sides of that coin.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing this, because I think it would be really it helps me, like immediately when you said everything, it helps me a lot, and I think it'll help the listeners a lot. So like, what advice would you give for, like, because I feel like I can only give advice to certain type of people who I can relate to. I feel like that's why I'm grateful that you came in. What advice would you give to, I guess, others who have felt that way? Like, what would you say to, I guess, minority women who may feel not as sure about entering a field that's not traditionally represented? What advice would you say to them? Because you already broke through, you're already in. Like, what advice would you give for them who have not started?
Sure. Yeah. If they're interested, like, yeah, certainly. If you find an industry that you love, you're passionate about, and you feel that you have a message to share, but are feeling apprehensive or hesitant because you don't see yourself reflected, whether it's your physical makeup, like your race and gender, or it's your perspective, like your your mindset around things. For me, what works is I certainly felt that hesitation, apprehension when I would go to networking events and I'd be the only one there, sometimes the only woman, usually the only Black person or the Black woman there. I, I, I think what helped me was leaning into my identity. I think for a portion of my career, I tried to assimilate and blend in
Okay.
and code switch, which I think code switching is necessary at times. You know, the way that I will speak to someone at a black tie event, for instance, will be different than if I'm at happy hour.
Right.
So it's not that that's a bad thing, but I think sometimes I did it to a point where I would lose myself, and that only made me feel less confident. When it comes to, in my experience, building wealth, the foundation of being able to do that is confidence. It's not necessarily knowing the nuts and bolts of how money works in terms of like the tactical aspects or the math behind it. It's really, do I believe in myself? And the more that I tried to hide my personality, the less I felt comfortable in my own skin. And I really feel like that showed. And so once I got more comfortable, I'll share a specific example. So I used to wear black blazers, low pump heels, and like the traditional like financial expert look. And I think that's a super cute look, not knocking it if that's someone's like go-to style. But for me, I'm more of like a jumpsuit. I like to show a little bit of skin.
I love you in your red jumpsuit.
Yes,
by the way.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God, you look so hot in it. I was like, oh my God, you look incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. And I feel so much more comfortable in that than a like straight up suit. And I am not like a heels type of girl. I like to rock sneakers. And so once like something like that, once I shifted the way I dressed into something that felt more comfortable, I really felt like I had more fun. I was meeting more people. My business started to do better. And I really attribute that to me owning my identity and making a point of feeling comfortable in my own skin. So that would be my advice, is to, as much as you can, find little ways. In the beginning, it'll be tough because you do want to, I understand the urge to fit in, but as much as you can, find little ways where you can let your own personality shine through and slowly work towards feeling comfortable truly being yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
You look amazing in all your outfits. And I don't know where you did the photo shoot, but it's like white sand and you look like a freaking model. Everybody, you got to check out her Instagram because it's amazing. So now you're engaged. Congratulations. And a lot of like what I talk about is kind of like, I guess, relationships now. And because you actually have the option of both boss babe and like trophy wife, like which one?
I love that.
Because you talk about it too, which I love. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for all those comments.
Can you tell I'm a stalker?
Compliments.
Like, can you
I'm so flattered. I really am. That photo shoot that you referenced was like, oh my gosh, such an amazing experience. It was in the White Sands. So you were right on. It's the White Sands in New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico, nice.
Yes, if you ever have a chance to go, definitely check it out. It really feels like you're in heaven on earth. It's so miraculous.
Nice.
Yes, boss babe, trophy wife. I feel like, especially as women, anyone who identifies as a woman, I feel like we have the power to be anything and everything all day, every day. We can shift identities from 1 hour to the next, 1 minute to the next, and it's still all us. And so yes, money and mimosas, I feel, is a representation of me as an individual. And that, for me, I proudly wear being an entrepreneur, being a boss babe, and being a trophy wife. I was actually just thinking about this morning. when I was at the gym, how I was thinking about Nick, my fiance,
Mhm.
and we are going to a holiday party this Friday for his company that he works for. And I
Mhm.
was thinking about like what I want to wear. And the thought crossed my mind that I want to look good just so he has arm candy. Like I don't have any qualms about like just looking good for the sake of
Looking good.
being
Yeah.
a trophy wife or to be trophy
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yes, I think that sometimes that identity is shunned, but I love rocking both.
I love that because you look amazing. You're so athletic and hot. Love it. So, do you feel like there's actually? Let's talk about Money and Mimosas. I love the name and helped me out a lot when I downloaded your opt-in. Can you explain for the listeners like what and Mimosas is and how it came to be?
Absolutely. So Money and Mimosas is a financial education multimedia platform. It started off as a blog a few years ago, about 6 years ago, and I started the blog as a way to share information about how to save, manage, and grow your money, particularly for entrepreneurs. My background is in accounting, and so I started off with sharing advice around bookkeeping and how to manage your finances as a small business owner.
Mhm.
And it's since grown into more of a multimedia platform where there's still the blog. We now have tens of thousands of readers in over 45 countries, which is so
Wow.
incredible.
Yes, congratulations. Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you. So the blog is there. We've expanded the content to include savings and investing. Going into 2020 or starting in 2020, we'll do more content specifically for freelancers, specifically for those of us
Mm.
who have a business, but don't necessarily see ourselves like owning this massive corporation. Like
Mm.
we're fine with hiring contractors every now and again,
Mhm.
but we want to stay small. That's how I see myself. I have a couple of contractors that I work with,
Mhm.
and I certainly want to continue to grow my business, but I don't necessarily see myself running a huge multinational corporation. And so Money and Mimosas is the resource for those of us that want information on how do we retire as freelancers? Like, what's the
Mhm.
roadmap for that? How do we invest in real estate, for instance, if we have fluctuating income? How do we set up a savings plan, a savings or investing strategy if as a freelancer, you know, 1 month I make a certain amount, the next month I make another? How do I know when to hire a financial planner or to hire a marketing manager if that's what you want to hire, a personal assistant?
Mhm.
So that's the information that we share, and then we also include information around the general financial system. My belief is that when it comes to money, there's two components to it. There's the individual's responsibility, and then
Mhm.
there's also the economic system at large. And
Mm.
so, what the financial education system does really well at is sharing information that involves individual responsibility. So, for instance, if you've uh, have a lot of credit card debt, you can find a lot of information on how to reduce that credit card debt. If you've got student loan debt, there's information on how to create a plan to pay that off. But
Mhm.
there's little information, especially with the latter piece, around, well, why are so many people struggling with student loan debt?
Mhm.
And why do we have a system where so many people are overextending themselves and are finding themselves in credit card debt?
Mhm.
What is at play in the larger system that's creating this experience for so many of us? And so at Money and Mimosas, we try to do a balanced job of we try to do a good job rather of balancing both sides of that, because both sides create the financial experience that we are all in.
That's so amazing. Oh my God. I'm gonna like stalk your blog in 2020 because I have that problem. So thank you so much for sharing. If I have a problem, I'm sure other people have that as well. So thank you for that. And then my next thought is like, I've talked to several of my Black friends, and then a common theme that came up when they were in corporate was like they keep saying like there's like this glass ceiling. They don't feel like they're taken seriously. And part of me feels like, you know, sometimes we all feel that, but some of it I do feel like is related to kind of how we look and some of the uncontrollables. So like, do you personally feel like there's a barrier for women or minorities or the combination to become wealthy? Do you feel like it's more of like something that's in our heads or something that's like external from us that's preventing it? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I love this question. I feel that it's both,
Mm,
really. And I
okay.
think that that is why I've tried to do a more balanced job on money and mimosas to highlight both. And I actually went through, oh, I'm so happy you asked this question. This
I was
year,
scared. I was like, oh, fuck it, let's just do it.
no, this is great. This is
Okay, whew.
really getting at the root
Yes.
of the financial situation, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Like getting to the root cause, that's what I'm all about, because a lot of the information out there is symptom level in
Mm,
terms of they it only deals with the results. It doesn't deal with the cause
mm,
level of the situation. So I'll share a personal example. So for me, I found I recently did a project, and I see a lot of the work that I do as projects because as
mm,
a freelancer, like
right.
they don't last forever. So a lot of the work that I do is project based, which I love. It matches my personality. And I was working on a project with this guy who I would say was not very kind. A white guy, older, like late 50s.
Mhm,
And I really felt that he did not respect my perspective and
mhm,
respect the work that I've done, the platform that I built. He has a pretty substantial net worth. He's
mhm.
considered one of the wealthiest men in the United
Oh,
States.
mhm,
And so he certainly has built he's been successful on his in his own right, and I certainly respect that. And
mhm,
I also felt that I deserved the same level of respect as well,
mhm.
regardless
Yes,
of if
absolutely.
I yeah, I feel that everyone as a human being deserves respect, and I didn't feel like I was getting that from him. And
Mhm,
so for me, I that situation was actually pretty tough to for me to go through because his sometimes some of his comments and the way he would question my suggestions really hit my confidence.
oh, man.
And I took some time to reflect. I would say that I I did a good job of reflecting, although I did not necessarily do a great job of protecting my confidence from his harmful comments.
Mhm,
But that whole experience showed me two things. It
mhm,
showed me that, yes, this guy is a complete jerk. He is an
mhm,
asshole.
mhm.
And his perspective, his commentary about me was related to my age.
Oh,
He did
wow.
not respect
Gee,
me as a millennial. He didn't respect me as a woman, and he certainly
gee,
didn't respect me as a Black person.
what?
Um, but in addition to that, there were some things that I needed to do in order to improve my own expertise. There were some
Mhm.
gaps in
Wow.
my knowledge in the financial
Wow.
industry
So
that I
self I about you. Sorry, I just had to, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, and so it was both. So it's not that
Yeah.
he didn't necessarily have a point sometimes. The way he
Mhm,
delivered it was completely out of line
mhm,
most of the time.
okay.
But if I was honest with myself, then
Mhm,
that if I was honest with myself, yes, there were absolutely areas of I consider I want to build myself as a domain expert in the financial
mhm.
space, and I had
Yes,
some
yes.
gaps that I needed
Mhm,
to improve upon. And
mhm,
so, yes, there was areas for me to improve. And then also there was this system at place that he was representing that did not respect me, period. And
mhm,
so those two things work in tandem. I do
mhm,
believe that our mindset has a lot of power. We do have the power to create our reality. We do have
mhm,
the power to improve our knowledge base, our boost our confidence in order
mhm,
to really show up as our best selves. And I think there, you know, if something is meant for you, no one can take that away from you. At the same time, there are systems in place that do make it very, very, very challenging in order to break through those glass ceilings. And I sometimes feel that those barriers breaks someone's spirits when our mission at Money and Mimosas is to boost our community's self-worth and net worth, because
I love that.
yes, because self-worth is our net worth is directly tied to our self-worth, and these systems that have been in place for centuries do break our spirit, which erodes at our self-worth and does impact our net worth. Now, do we still have power to change it? Absolutely. I don't want to take away anyone's personal power. At the same time, it's important to balance that with how the system impacts people, because the system does have a responsibility as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's helping so many more people, and I can relate to so many you say, even if it's not the exact situation. I can totally relate to this. Thank you so much. So that brings me to kind of why I started this episode. Like, where can I meet rich men in San Francisco who are not douchebags?
See, if you didn't end it with douchebags, I could have given you a few spots.
Because I was in San Francisco for like 5 years, and dating was much easier than here in Orange County, because Orange County, oh my God, all the women are freaking beautiful. Everyone has plastic surgery. So you're saying if it's no douchebags?
I didn't know you lived in SF. Where did you live?
I went to Berkeley for like 4 years, and I worked for like a year.
That's right. You went to Berkeley. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That's where my fiance went too. He loved it.
That's amazing. So, Berkeley or Stanford?
Oh my gosh, Berkeley all the way. Are you kidding?
Did he make you take off your red jumpsuit?
He's not that crazy. I think he loves the red jumpsuit. But yes, Berkeley, hands down.
Okay, let's talk about this topic because I think it's awesome. I think you were ahead of the times. You were ahead of Meghan Markle for dating a redheaded man as a Black lady.
I was with a redhead well before Meghan Markle ever hit the scene.
So, all right, let's go there. What are your thoughts on like interracial dating? Because I feel like as an Asian woman sorry Asian guys, I try to help in my stand-up comedy bit, but I'm gonna be honest, because I feel like Asian men are great providers. They make the money. They know what to do. However, I don't know what happens with the Asians who are raised here. They get this American mentality, like they're a rare unicorn because they can speak our native language, and they become super entitled. And I've noticed this in different ethnic groups. Like even Persian guys tell me like, oh, we can't date Persian girls because they hate us or something. So I was in an interracial relationship, and I feel like of course there's personality stuff, but on top of it's like more like cultural stuff. Like, so I guess, do you have any tips for people interracial dating, or thoughts on like managing money as a couple? What are your thoughts on it?
Ooh, this is super interesting. I cannot say that I'm an expert on dating or interracial dating.
You don't need to. You're basically married. You're good.
Well, that's the thing. Nick and I joke about this, that if we were to ever break up, we would probably be single for the rest of our lives. Not because we were so heartbroken over each other, but because like we literally don't know how to navigate the dating world. Like, I have no idea what I would do.
That's hilarious.
I mean, for us, I do think each relationship is very special. And so everyone, certainly there are probably running threads between, I have a few friends who are also in interracial relationships. And we talk about like some of the quirks that, we all date white guys. So some of the quirks that white guys have. And I would say for what's worked for us, Nick and I, gosh, We are really, I mean, I hate to sound so cliche, but communication. And I would say that
Yeah, so
we've
important.
gotten better at communication. Nick has always been an incredible communicator.
Mm-hmm.
I have had to learn how to do that. I'm someone who really holds things in. I I marinate on things. It takes me a while to. I've gotten better with him, but it still takes me a longer than he to know to share
Mm-hmm.
anything, whether it's something I'm upset about, sad about, angry about. I will like sulk about it before communicating it with him, and he's really direct, and he's really good at putting words to his emotions, and that's something I've had to learn through our relationship, and I really credit him with helping me become more evolved in that area of my life, learning how to put words to my emotions, be able to communicate it. So I would say that's really the thing that's working for us, that has worked for us and continues to work for us. I don't take for granted that that's something that is present. So we do work at that. When it comes to money, we do have weekly money dates. So
Oh,
every
wow.
Friday, we have a date night, and we do our date nights at home. Sometimes we'll go out, but it's usually at home. One of us cooks for the other, and then we make a special cocktail. And we talk about money. We talk about we try to stay away from upcoming bills. That's like a conversation that those types of conversations we try to keep the conversations during date night and during our money date more around like our aspirations. So one of Nick's short-term goals is to purchase investment property. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about my business, like things that I'm excited about, and if there's anything that's um, keeping me up at night or stressing me out, that's the time to share with him. And then we also lately have been talking a lot about our values, because
Mm-hmm.
that I've realized really informs our financial behavior. So I really value, for instance, um, I really value ease. I
Mm-hmm.
want things, my life to be easeful, not necessarily easy,
Oh,
but I just,
mm.
yes. And so what that means, so when it comes to my financial behaviors, is
Mhm.
that I want to be in a I want things I will spend money on a Lyft ride rather than taking the public transit, for instance,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's
Right.
easeful.
Mhm. Easeful.
He though gets enjoyment out of saving money, so he'll take the extra effort, make the time to take public transit, or he will search for deals for a hotel, for instance, where I'm just like, I just want the nicest place, and if
Mhm.
it looks
Mhm.
good, like let's just go for it. But he
Mhm.
enjoys the process of searching for a deal. And
Mhm.
so sharing that value with him helps me better understand why I make some of the money decisions that I do, and
Mhm.
helps him better understand like why I make some of the decisions that I do. So I feel like that's been really helpful for us, is getting clear on what our values are, and talking about those during our money dates. We can better understand the decisions that each one of us is making.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think I'm gonna some of these in the future. Things that I really am like just awed by is like your networking ability, because you run a podcast and then you do a lot of events around the Bay Area, and you're just like everywhere. So like, what are your like thoughts on like how do you view networking, and what advice would you have for people who want to do a better job at networking?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny. So I have a part of Money Mimosas is doing those live events, which you
Mhm.
mentioned, and I call those. We have a community called the Socialites, the Bay Area Socialites, and I host financial education workshops, and we'll do cultural events in the area. It could be a fashion show or a live play, a shopping spree, mimosa dates, and I started that group because I see myself as a socialite. I don't
Mhm.
see networking as as networking necessarily. I see it as socializing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been like that. I think I get it from my dad. He would take me to what you would call networking events
Mm-hmm.
when I was a really young girl, like 11 years old. I would go to these events with him and just be so in awe of how he was able to like make friends with everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
room. And I just love socializing. I find so much joy in meeting new people and getting to know their life story. And so I would say, yeah, that I think that's the advice I would share is like find something that you enjoy. I don't necessarily enjoy business types events, although those are fun too. I love going to conferences. I'm fine with going to networking events, but I really enjoy going to like the museum if they're
Mm-hmm.
hosting a happy hour event where you can mix and mingle with different
Yes.
people who are also there. Yeah, so I would say find things that you enjoy. It could even be your yoga class. I have made so many connections and met so many clients through going to the gym, going to fitness classes, because you're meeting people in a situation where they're already having fun. You're connecting over a mutually an activity that you mutually enjoy. And it's so much easier to strike up a conversation with someone. So that's how I see networking. I see it as socializing, and I'm just all about having fun.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And if um, if you didn't do what you do now, what you would do?
Oh my goodness. I wish I could sing, or I wish I was funny. Like I would love to be on stage. I love performing.
Mhm.
So if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would be a singer or trying to be like you, because I think being a comedian is so incredible. It's entertaining, it's transformative, and like I said earlier, I really really respect the art of it. So if I had the talents, I would do one of those.
Oh my God, you're so amazing. So, because I feel like you already do so, because if you're speaking, if you're like, doing podcasts and stuff, I feel like it's very similar in a way. Singing, yeah, I can't sing for shit either, but um, yeah, it's a special talent for sure. So okay, let's talk about your podcast because your podcast is so much better than mine. Holy shit. Can you tell us like what is it like running the podcast Money Mimosas and like getting guests? Like what's that process like for you?
Yeah, so well now I focus a lot on the blog.
Mhm.
So I consider myself in this year I have I have taken on the identity of being a writer, being an artist,
Mm,
and that medium, the written word, is something that
mm.
gives me just so much joy.
You're so talented at writing. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so, yes, as far as that, I mean, and with the writing, I do interview people. And the process around finding a guest for me, does this person interest me? Do they have a
Mhm.
perspective that I want to know more about?
Mhm.
I'm someone who loves listening to interviews.
Mhm.
If I don't know what kind of job this would be, but if I couldn't be a singer or a comedian, like if there was a job where I could just sit and listen to interviews, like that would be my favorite thing. And so I love asking questions. I'm so curious about how other people think. And so I
Mhm.
find guests that I feel have an interesting perspective, and certainly someone that I feel has good information to share, something constructive,
Mhm.
actionable for my audience
Mhm.
to learn from.
That's incredible because I feel like you live so many different lives. You were like a cheerleader, you were like in finance, you were in media. Like, how do you like make your decisions?
Around which like things to
Yeah,
do.
what things to do? Because you do so many things. So it's just like, what's your process? Decide to do a project versus deciding to not do it.
That has become more and more clear as time has gone along. So in the beginning, I would do really anything that came my way because I was so eager to take on opportunities. And to a certain extent, I still am in that eager phase. But as I've grown as an entrepreneur, my understanding of who I am and the things that really give me joy and things that I'm passionate about have become more clear. And that really, really determines what I take on as a project. And so for me, it really boils down to a gut feeling. And also that gut feeling is informed by, am I able to express myself through this opportunity? Is it a way for me to get my message out, which is to elevate our community's self-worth and net worth? And how is it allowing me to truly express myself? And if I feel good about those two things, then I'll take it on. And I love being outside of the box. I feel like, oh my goodness, I feel like as people, as women, we're put in boxes. And I feel as for me being in the financial space, people are so quick to put me in a box of, well, you can only talk about money, or you can only talk about this one thing. You can't lead a dance class, or you can't host a mimosa workshop, or you know, why are you starting? I had so many comments around like, why are you starting the socialites group? Isn't that antithetical to what you talk about? You're talking about, yeah, you talk about women's empowerment, and yet here you are supporting like this idea of trophy wife. And I'm like, who created these rules? Who?
Yeah. That's insane.
It's incredible, the things that people will like, the projections that people will put on us and put on me. It's like, no, those are your rules. Live your life according to them. I'm over here creating my own rules. And if I like something, I'm going to do it.
I love that. I'm just laughing like crazy here. So, like, okay, like, do you guys know who she is? Come on, guys. So it's Danetha, bitch.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Can this be our can this be our title? It's Danetha.
Seriously, oh my gosh, that would make my life.
I don't think it'd be good for SEO though. I try my best. Well, actually, we'll talk about this later. But
I love it.
Okay, so why is financial education so important?
Two more serious topic. Well, but I think it all goes hand in hand. I think financial education allows us to be who we want to be. Money, for better or for worse, money is a powerful tool, and it really shapes the way we're able to move through this world and through this life. And knowing how to make it work for us, I really believe that it allows us to be ourselves, to be our best selves, to express ourselves in the way that we want to be with friends, I mean, for me, my core desire is self-expression. Like I mean, I'm not going to say put this out in the universe, but there's really nothing else that compares to that desire of mine. And money is my tool for being able to do that, whether it's, you know, being able to say no to a project, because I did that this year. There was a project that was it was $27,000, which is $27,000, which is not something that I sneeze at. That is a healthy chunk of money, but it didn't feel good. I didn't want to do it. And so instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I need the money, because I've built up a cushion, I was able to just walk away from it and say, you know what, thanks for the opportunity, but that's not the direction that I want to go in. It's allowed me to write whatever I want to write. And that's not to say that you have to have money in order to be yourself. I hope that's not being conflated. But the confidence I have, and because at the end of the day, we all need to pay bills, and we have experiences that require money. And so financial education has helped me better understand how to create my own economy. That's something that I share often, is that we all have the power to create our own economy. And in doing so, you're able to create the life that you want to lead.
I love that. It's a perfect definition. So, how can we find you online? How can we work with you? What are some of the projects that you're working on now?
Thank you so much. So you can find me on moneyandmimosas.com. That's my little magical corner of the internet. And that's where all of this financial education information can be found. You can find all of my social media links there, moneyandmimosas.com. The best way to work with me is to sign up for my weekly newsletter. So if you go to moneyandmimosas.com/get rich, you can get a weekly letter, love letter, I call it, from me every Sunday. And it's an invitation to reflect on your week, reflect on your finances, and really create the life that you want to lead.
Oh my God, weekly love letters. Nick needs to watch out. Oh my God. Beautiful and rich. When this podcast is released, I think you better watch your inbox before it explodes. So thank you so much for this. This has been amazing. You're so much fun to talk to you and so educational. I was so honored to have you on this podcast. I hope to have you on future episodes to come. And again, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I just have to say, you are an incredible host. This is literally the best conversation I've had and the best podcast interview I've ever been honored to be a part of. You are incredible. And thank you for all the work that you're doing, because adding humor to the financial space and also humor to life as an immigrant, life as a minority, as a woman from Chinese descent, I think is so powerful, so healing, and so transformative. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. This is the best outro ever. So much.